5 different text-based motion graphics in DaVinci Resolve. I'll show you how to make them in this video, but if you want to download the templates for this, I also have a link in the description where you can download these as macro files. So let's get into the video where I'm going to show you how you can make them on your own. For the first effect, we have this clean flicker. As you can see, nice looking flicker, and it also fades out. So let's go ahead and drag a fusion composition, head over to it. And over here, let's just drag a background and connect the background to the media out. And also drag this text and connect it with the background. So I'm just going to type this text. And the font that I'm using is Montserrat at Black. Now make sure you have your text selected, and over here in the shading section, go ahead and right click on this opacity based keyframe. And once you right click, you will find the option for modify with, and go ahead and select shake from this. So once you do that, you can see that we have this modifiers tab enabled, and over here we have some options. So right now, just go ahead, set the random seed all the way to the full value, and set the smoothness to 1. Set the minimum to 0.7 and the maximum to 0.3. And go ahead and create 2 keyframes at minimum and maximum while we are at the 0 frame. Now go over to 10 frames, and over here, set the minimum to 0 and the maximum to 1. Now go over to 30 frames and set the minimum to 1 as well. And if we play this now, here you will see we get that nice looking flicker, and it just fades in and then stays as it is after 30 frames. We also want this to fade out as well. So let's go over to, let's say, 90 frames and set the keyframes once again at minimum and maximum, so that between this, our text remains the same. So now let's go over to the 90th frame, and once again, set keyframes, but this time don't change the values. Make sure that they are the same as they were on the 30th frame, and go over to 100th frame and set the minimum to 0. And then go over to 110th frame and then set the maximum to 0 as well. So if you play this now, here you will see that we have this flicker, and then we have this flicker once again, but this time it fades up. So this is how you can create a flicker-based text effect. And on our main timeline, you will see that we have the same effect. So the next effect that we have is this text inbox. So basically, we have a text that is coming up from the bottom of this rectangle in the background. So let's see how to make this. And I'm going to drag this fusion composition once again, head over to the fusion composition, add this background and connect it to the media out, change the color to white, and also add this rectangle. This will act as the mask. So if you connect this, this will act as the mask for this background. And you can position it for surrounding your text. And for that, let's just import this text and connect it with the background. So I'm just going to write this text. So here I'm using this Montserrat font once again. And once we have the text, let's also change the color to black. And now we can set this background to surround the text. So I'm just going to surround this accordingly. And here you can see, and just a little bit corner radius. That's up to you. If you want to increase this, you can. But this is how I'm going to place this for now. And if we go over to, let's say, 10 frames, just head over to the text, or you can select the text. And one other thing is, before you do that, just drag this rectangle and connect it to the text. And this will act as the masking for the text as well. So let's just decrease this so that this is within the shape in the background and also surrounds the text. Okay, so now let's select the text, and over here in the text box, just right click and you will find this option for follower. So click on this and this will take you to the modifiers tab. So first option that we have is timing. So just change the delay to 1 and go over to transform. Over here in the transform, just change this to words. So if you want to do this character by character, you can also do that. But for this video, I'm doing it for word by word. Okay, so you'll see that we have this option over here. This is for size. And let's just go ahead and create a keyframe at 15. So make sure that you are at 15 frames. Create a keyframe at Y and also at the pivot as well. And once you do that, you will get this path 1, but don't do anything. Just double click back on the follower 1 tab, and this will bring you back to the follower tab. Okay, and now go back to, let's just say 6 over here and change the y-axis to 0. So you'll see that this will reduce it on the y scale, and also change the y-axis value to, let's say, negative 0.2 in the pivot section. And if we play this now, so you'll see that we have this text coming up from the bottom one by one. So this is the basic basic effect that we wanted, but now we also want to animate this background. So over here at 10, go back to the rectangle one, create a keyframe at width, and then go back to 0 frames, and then set this to 0. So if you play this now, this is how it would look. Okay, and now let's go over to 100 frames, and over here, let's once again go back to the text. In the modifier section, in the transform, again, create keyframe, 1 at pivot and 1 at the y-axis. And then go over to 110, set this y to 0, and also set this y-axis to 0 so that this disappears. Okay, and if we play this now, this is how it will look. Okay. And you can create a keyframe at rectangle in the width section once again, and you can go over to, let's say, 115 and then set this to 0 once again. So this will be the outro. So here you can see, and you can adjust this accordingly if you want to change this. And for the final thing, let's go over to spline, select our rectangle width and the text. So we're going to do this one by one. First, we will select the keyframes from the start. Let's hit S. And let's now select the ones at the back and then hit S. So if we play this now, all right, so this looks nice, and this is how you can create the second kind of text effect. And moving on to the third effect, we have this floating in text. Let's just go ahead and create a fusion composition. Head over to this. So let's add this background and connect this to the media out and change the color to white. Now for this one, we're not going to use this rectangle mask. We're going to use this polygon. And the reason for this, I will show you just in a second. But right now, let's just go ahead and create this. And also, before you do that, just right click on this screen and you will find this option for guides. So select this show guide so that we can create this shape properly. So let's just go ahead and create this shape on this line and connect this to background. And now you can just change the border width and unselect the solid and change this border style to this. So here you can see we have a rectangle kind of shape, and now you can just undo the guides. So here you can see we have this shape. So the reason why we did that is because when we're working with this rectangle, we are unable to make an animation where this shape starts from here and ends over here. So one way to do that is to make a polygon. And then what you can do is, let's just say, let's go over to 8. And over here, just set a keyframe at the length and then go back to 0 and set this to 0. So here you will see that we are able to get this kind of an animation. That is the reason why we are using this polygon. Okay, and now let's just go over to spline and ease this. So I'm just going to select this length, select these keyframes, hit S, and also press Ctrl T, and this will enable this ease in panel for you. So you can just change this to, let's say, 70. All right, and if we play this now, this is how it will look. Now we need some text. So let's just drag in this text connected to the background and write. Again, using the same font and black color, here we have our text. So let's also increase the size a bit, like this. And let's add in a rectangle mask, and this will be for the text. So let's just connect this and increase the width like this. And you can also adjust the height, but that's up to you. It's not really required. You just need to set the width. Okay, so now we have this text in place, and now we are going to animate this. Right now we are having this shape coming in at 10 frames. It's completing the animation at 10 frames. So this is the place from where we will start this floating text that we have coming in from this side. So let's just select our text, and since we are going to end this over here, let's just go over to 20 and create a keyframe in the layout over here in center. And also go back to the text and create a keyframe at right on. Now here in the, let's go over to, let's say, 6 frames, and let's go ahead and set this to right on to 0. And in the layout, let's go ahead and change this to right here. And if we play this now, we'll see that this is how it looks. This is how it appears. Let's go ahead and go over to spline, unselect this polygon, make sure that we only have this text. And I'm going to press Ctrl T to remove this ease in from here. This does not remove the effect, it just removes it from your screen. Then I'm going to press S while selecting all of these. So if we play this now, you'll see that this is now looking much better. Okay, so now you need to go over to text once again, and in the settings over here, just go ahead and select this motion blur. And if you play this now, you will see that we have this nice motion blur in our animation as well. So this is up to you to change it from here. I'm just going to keep this at default. All right, so now once we have this all done over here, we also need to add the animation where this goes back to 0. So let's just go over to, let's say, 100. Here I'm going to change the animation of the text. So first of all, let's go ahead and create keyframe on right on, as well as the center. So the same thing that we did before. And now let's go over to 110. Move this to, or let's just say that if we change this right on to go at the end. And let's go over to layout, and change the center x-axis to 0.7 somewhere here. And if we play this, once again, this moves up. Okay, and once it does that, let's go over to 110. And for the polygon, let's also create a keyframe at the position. So just create a keyframe at position. Don't create a keyframe at the length. Yeah, let's go over to 119 and then just simply move this to 1. So this moves out of the grade. So here you can see. And now let's just go ahead and ease it. I'm going to select this keyframe over here. And let's go ahead and change the ease in a little bit. Right, so if we play this now, this is how it looks. And you can do the same for the text as well. So where the text is ending, select these and hit S. So here you can see, it looks much better now. All right, so one other thing that we need to make this animation a little bit more interesting is to add this transform node right here where our merge ends. Basically, right where we are connecting with the media out, just go ahead and add this transform. So for this one, if we play this, here we can set the keyframe at 20 in the size, and over at, let's say 25, we can change this to 0.9. And over here, where this is going to end, let's create a keyframe at 95. Let's go ahead at 95 frames. Again, select the keyframe at size, then at 100, move this back to 1. And if we also go over to the spline, over here, let's go ahead, first of all, select both of these, hit S over here, and then also select these and hit S over here. And if we play this now, here you will see that we are getting this nice looking floating in text effect. Moving on to the fourth effect, we have this slide up. So very simple effect. Just go ahead and drag a fusion composition. Now here you can simply add this background, connect this and change the color to, let's say, yellow, but that's up to you. You can also change this to any other color. I'm just going to keep this at this yellow. Now the next thing is the text. Connect this to your background. Write your text. Montserrat is the font that I'm using, but this time I'm also going to change it to something italic. So extra bold italic. And let's also drag this rectangle connected to the background and change the width according to our text and the height as well. So somewhere around here, and let's change the position just a little bit. I'm going to change the width, and here we are. Okay, so for this one, let's once again add another rectangle, connect this to the text one. And over here, let's just decrease the width over here. And for this one, I'm going to change the soft edge a little bit, let's say 0.05. And let's go over to 10, head over to text and create a keyframe in the layout at center. And let's go to 0 frames and then move this out of the screen, this. And let's also ease this in. So head over to spline, select your keyframes, hit S. We play this. This is how it looks. And right where this stops, we also need to create a keyframe at the size. So over here in the text, create a keyframe at size, then at 15 frames. Let's just change this to 0.07. Okay, and I'm also going to change the width a little bit more, like this. And let's also move this a little bit up. Okay, so here I'm going to create a keyframe at 25. The rectangle, add width, and then add 15, I'm going to change this to 0. And once again, going over to the Fusion, select your keyframes, hit S, and let's see how this looks. So here you can see we have a nice looking animation, and we can also move this out from this side. So let's just select our rectangle first, create a keyframe at width, and then at 110, let's move this to 0 once again. And this time, right over here, let's go over to text, and then go to layout, create a keyframe at center, and then at the very end, let's move this back down once again. So if you see this, this is how it looks. But as you can see that we are getting this soft edge, which is not looking much good. So you can just decrease this, right? Let's say 0.2. And if you play this now, so this looks better. Okay, so this is how you can basically create the slide up effect. And going over to the spline once more, let's just zoom in, select these keyframes at the end and ease them in as well. And then heading over to the text, selecting these and also hitting S on the keyboard, and this will ease them. So this is our fourth effect. Moving on to the fifth and the final one we have. So let's add this Fusion composition, head over to it. First of all, add this background, and we can change the color to white. Add this mask over here, connect this to the background, change the width to, let's say, 0.008, and the height to 0.15. So 0.15. And let's add this text, connect this over here to the background. So I'm going with the Montserrat, and I'm going to keep this at italic. Now for the shape, let's just move this where our text starts. So over here at 10 frames, I'm just going to create a keyframe at rectangle here at the height. And at 0, I'm just going to move this at 0. And for the text, I'm going to do the same thing. Just add in this rectangle as the mask, and then change the height like this. And at 10, let's go ahead and create a keyframe for our text in the layout section at center. And then at 0, we can move this out. So if you play this, this is how it looks. And go over to spline, select your keyframes, and hit S on your keyboard. This will ease them in. Okay, and here's how this looks. So let's drag in another text, connect this to our merge one. Now right click on your text one and select copy, and then right click on text two and then select paste settings. But this time we're going to change the hashtag to this hashtag. And also I'm going to remove the keyframes. So basically, we're just going to remove these keyframes, and let's go over at 10 and then position this right here. And let's also increase the size a bit. So at 20, let's go ahead and first of all add this rectangle as the mask. Here I'm going to create a keyframe at rectangle at center, and also for the text at the layout and in center. Now at 10 frames, what we need to do is we need to change this mask basically to this position. And also the text that we have, basically the hashtag that we have, let's also change this to this position, somewhere around here. And if you play this now, this is how it will. So let's head over to spline, undo all of these, unselect all of these, and then only for the text 2, select this and hit S on your keyboard. So if we play this now, this is how it looks. So let's go over to 95 frames and then select our text 2, create a keyframe at center, and then at 105, let's move this out. Move this over here a little bit. And then also for the rectangle, create a keyframe at 95 in the center. And then at 0.105, let's just move this out of the screen. And if we play this, let's go over to spline and select these. And here, just go ahead and select this. Press S on your keyboard. And if we play this now, this is how it looks. And also, once again, we're going to remove these, basically this text and the shape that we have over here. So at 105, go ahead and go over to text 1, create a keyframe at center, and then at 115 frames, let's just move this out of the screen. Same thing for this rectangle. Let's go over at 105, create a keyframe at width, and then at 115, just move this to 0. And let's go over to spline and quickly ease them in. So if we play this now, this is how it looks, and this is how it disappears. So this is for the final effect that we have. And these were the effects basically that we have that you can do in DaVinci Resolve using the Fusion composition. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.